So this is the central hallway of the basement, and you can look through this glass screen into the pool.
The super rich are maximising property value in the heart of London as never before.
One person's large is another person's not large enough.
But they're not building up, they're digging down, creating mega basements.
The base of the house, which is the area that you see down there, is probably one of the deepest basements in this particular location.
Some streets, 3 or 4 are all being done at once. And then no sooner is one finished than the next one starts up.
Down here we've got the lower ground floor. It looks like an Alcatraz prison.
People who are living here are multinational who probably got a house like this in 2 or 3 other countries.
They're hardly ever there, are they?
No, this is the Russian.
Are they Russians, are they?
In the last 10 years, an estimated 2,000 new basements have been dug in central London, removing 3 million tonnes of soil.
If this were happening in other places in the country, they would serve as bows on people for the amount of noise and disruption.
People find they're living in what looks like part of strip mining in Kazakhstan.
But with fortunes to be made by digging down, the basement building boom looks here to stay.
My drains are blocked and I'm flooded as a result of concrete.
Central London is now one of the most expensive places to live on the planet. Buy a flat with a posh postcode and you'll have small change from £1 million. Leafy Hampstead is one of the wealthiest areas. Houses here can fetch in excess of 20 million. This 8-bedroom Hampstead home looks substantial already, but it's got hidden depths.
So if I take you out here, sorry it's a little wet and rainy today, England, you can notice that there are some skylights out here. So you've got 2 here, which when we go downstairs, I'll show you, the light comes into the hallway. We have 2 skylights back there, which is in the gym. And then if you come out even further, all of this, and up to about where that skylight is, our pool is under that area there.
By digging up their garden, Manala and her husband created a whole new living area for themselves and their 4 children.
So I'll take you down into the lower ground. We don't call it a basement. Apparently I was told that because of the wonderful high ceilings, I should not be calling it a basement.
Why not? That's a bit odd.
Because as you come down here, you'll see you've got something special. You've got very high ceilings. You've got this wonderful stone being carried across. So I guess when you talk about basements in a traditional sense, you're thinking something that's cold and dingy and dark, but we try to achieve the opposite. So we call it the entertainment floor.
The 1-floor basement, about the size of a tennis court, took over 2 years to build and cost £1 million.
In here we've got the cinema.
You don't miss going out in that old traditional way?
Sometimes it's quite nice to do that. And not everybody you want to bring into the home, so there might be some people you want to go out and see a film with. This is where we entertain people, and if you want to make an impression, you want to make sure that when they use the cloakroom, they're going to a nice room there as well. We also have speakers in the ceiling, so they don't miss any part of the movie. So this is the wine cellar.
You've drunk all the wine.
It's being depleted very quickly, and I'm not replenishing it, so yes. We have 2 Sub-Zeros here, and we've got a humidor as well.
Why did you want a wine cellar?
We thought that even if we may not have been avid collectors, we need to have something like this in here. It has to be something special for the next person to come in, because if there's somebody with millions of pounds, that person can get maybe down the road the same property with a pool. So we had to do these, we felt we had to do these special things that we created. This is the Crestron system, and it controls everything from the heating to lighting to audiovisual. And so now I'm going to turn on the waterfall for you. So there you go.
Wow. You sort of have a low luxury hotel.
I've been told that it's better than the Four Seasons sometimes. I think it's definitely helped with the value of the property, because if we kept the house at 5,000 square feet, I would anticipate maybe 7 million. And now that we've doubled it, I would say about 13 million.
A couple of miles south is the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. Some of London's most valuable real estate is here, nestling within its 4.5 square miles. In this part of the world, the average price of a small terraced house is £3.5 million and rising.
Property prices in central London have, on average, doubled every decade for the past 100 years. Flats that we're selling today for £1 million, in 2024, will they be worth 2 million? Yes. In fact, there's a strong suggestion that they'll probably be worth more.
Blimmin' heck.
Blimmin' heck.
And Jeff should know, he's been selling property in central London for 15 years.
This is Holland Park, which is one of the more sought-after locations in central London. Most people around here are so wealthy they don't even have a mortgage. The Beckhams have recently just bought here, reportedly for about 42 million pounds.
It's a staggering amounts of money.
Yeah, it certainly is.
The record price around here, per square foot, is £8,500. That's 20 times the national average. So, digging down makes sense.
In the last sort of 10 years, it's become the fashion to excavate not just underneath the house, but also to then push out underneath the garden as well. It just comes back down to the value that one can add, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of pounds in profit by, you know, excavating a basement. And that's why you see so many of these houses with basements being dug.
In fact, in 2001, there were only 46 planning applications for basements in the borough. Last year, there were nearly 450. And so Kensington has found itself at the epicentre of a subterranean building boom.
You know, I guess a lot of these people, their net worth now, if you believe what you read in things like the Sunday Times Rich List, I think Simon Cowell's sort of worth is £250 million. And I think if you ask the vast majority of the general public if they got £250 million, you know, would they extend their house in London to the absolute capacity? Would you have all the boys' toys? You know, I think, honestly speaking, the majority would.
So, if you've got mega bucks and want a mega basement, then one of the go-to architects is David Wolfe, creator of some of the biggest basements in London.
Not cheap, is it, this basement building?
It's not cheap at all, but in the market we deal with, the people obviously have the income and the money to afford these properties, and we obviously facilitate doing it for them.
David's client list ranges from Arab royalty to multinational CEOs.
So to get a brand new spanking basement, you're talking what kind of figure?
The work we do, they cost between 1 to 2 million, going up to almost 5 million, and then we could spend the same again on the finishes. So the basement in this house has got all the leisure facilities. It's got the swimming pool, gym, sauna, all the staff accommodation, auxiliary spaces, garages. We try and keep the heights in the basement actually even to be higher than those on the ground floor. So you'll find that the height on this level is about 3 meters, and then when you go down into the pool area, we increase it to 4 to 5 meters to give you that extra feeling of space.
It's very splendid.
The intention here is really that when you are in a basement that you don't feel as though you're in a dark dungeon. So we're coming into the hair salon area, which is over here. This is where the ladies can have their manicures and pedicures.
It's very large.
It is large, but I think it just reflects the current times, actually. People can luckily afford big mansions. This is the garage. It's built to accommodate 5 cars. This is the client's choice, and it's supposed to imitate a Ferrari red.
Am I taking to think that the client might have a Ferrari?
I got no idea, actually. It's got Bentleys.
Right. How much did it cost to make this house? Is that any good to say roughly?
I can't really better not.
Okay.
Do you mind? I mean, the millions, you know. Millions and millions, I guess, you know.
You think this is rather good, this design?
I love this one.
What, you'd like to live here?
I could be forced to.
But living alongside the building of basement perfection can feel like a nightmare for neighbours.
Lots of people accuse us of just being NIMBYs, but it's not about that. For a start, I've never objected to any of the developments where they've actually been building housing. Most of these aren't for houses, for space anyway. They're actually for cinema rooms and gyms and trophy projects.
This pretty little street is just a stone's throw from Hyde Park, and it's typical of much of Kensington.
Well, there's one that's up at the moment at number 1. There's number 8 that's happening now.
With its period features and rich architectural history, it's protected by a conservation zone.
There's another here at number 3 that is just completed.
Which means owners can't build up or extend out, but they can dig down.
One here goes down 3 levels, but it has a really, really tiny cinema room that you couldn't swing a cat in. It had a utility room below that, and it had a wine cellar below that. It was such a nonsense.
There are 7 basements already on the go, and one more is awaiting planning permission from the council.
Had 7 years of digging next to me, more or less constant for the last 7 years. It's absolute hell. It's a form of torture. That's relatively small compared with some of the ones that come down the street. The great thing is that everything's on... It's complete chaos for hours and hours a day. Because, you know, one of the things about basement work is, you know, it's substantively different from ordinary building work. Building up is, you know, it can be noisy and unpleasant, but digging down, the house shakes constantly while they're doing it. The drilling noise is horrendous. Some of the builds that I've lived next door to took 2.5 years to build.
You can see now that lorry is on its way back. My car's paid the price. I just couldn't afford to put a new wing mirror back on. £300 every time it came off my...
How many times did it
4
come
times.
Off? 4 times?
4 times. You can see, look what's happened here. 2 lorries in less than 10 minutes. And that's every day, all day. It's crazy. And nobody does anything to help. Absolutely no help at all.
Last year, Kensington Council was up to its neck in a record number of complaints about basement building.
If you look down there, that's a beautiful piece of landscape. I mean, they put back, there was always a basement there in the first place. Whether there's another basement underneath, I don't really know. There's one down there, you see, that's a basement there, because you can always tell a basement, because you can see the grinder. And that thing that goes over the pavement is the conveyor belt, and you put all the earth on there, you see, and it grinds up, and it goes into a skip, and then the skip lorry comes and takes it away.
In this street, it looks like there's one down there as well.
Oh, I'm sure. They're everywhere. It just changes the character of the street.
Tim Coleridge fronts the council's basement policy. His inbox is overflowing with emails from angry residents.
There we are, the earth of Kensington Chelsea leaving the borough. The borough's getting smaller every day.
It's quite expensive earth as well.
Very expensive earth, yes, that's right.
As part of its drive to combat the mega basement craze, the council has frozen all new multi-level basement applications.
I find it, as an elected member, quite embarrassing, because when residents say, please, please do something about this, our lives are becoming a misery, the borough has changed. It's not like it was 20 years ago. If you're elected, you feel a great sense of responsibility for that. But, of course, we have to work within planning law. So, to some extent, we have been helpless. And we don't like being helpless. So what we're doing now is making a real effort to change our policy. We're not going to ban basements, but we will actually rein back the worst excesses of it.
And the council's freeze on basements is bad news for property developers like Alan Waxman.
When I'm out on my scooter looking at opportunistic sites, I mean, generally speaking, what we look for is knackered old buildings. Some agents call me the mole because of the digging down. Other agents may have more juicier words for me, I don't know.
He's been in the basement game for 15 years and has made millions digging mega basements under some of London's most prestigious postcodes.
The first Muse house I didn't even think of doing a basement. But now it's nearly like a necessary evil. Without doing it, you can't get the numbers to stack up.
His latest project was greenlit before the council's ban. And this one wasn't found on a scooter sortie, but during an evening out.
I met a girl at Annabelle's nightclub in London, and then I negotiated with her to purchase her property from her.
Was there a tingle?
I beg your pardon?
Did a tingle? You know what I mean? Is there? You must have developed a sort of instinct for these things.
Obviously, I wouldn't have bought it if I didn't see the potential.
Was it very expensive to purchase?
The purchase price was just below the £1 million mark, which, for what it was a lot of money, but for the potential of what you could do with it, that was the view that I had to take. This looking straight on is obviously the front elevation.
Having demolished the original building, Alan's creating a 3-storey house with a double basement underneath. To make the basement, he's dug down to the depth of 2 double-decker buses.
This is going to be a fabulous property. It's going to be one of the only new-built houses in Notting Hill. Here we're going down to the bottom of the property where we've got the glass doors, but this can be used as either a gym, a bedroom, or, as it says there, a romping room, whatever that could be.
Fun, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of seating area.
Having a large seating area, it makes people feel popular, because they think, well, if I'm going to buy this house, I'm going to have lots of friends.
The build is in Kensington's trendy Notting Hill, home to supermodels, pop stars, and the odd politician. Alan's meeting top estate agent Mark Somerville to make sure he's creating a basement that will fit the exacting requirements of the average millionaire.
Over here we've got the kitchen.
Yeah.
Behind me we'll have the dining area.
Glass spots there.
That'll be glass, yeah.
With your car on top of it.
Exactly. Then here we'll have like a snug going out to a glass double height ceiling.
The works have been going on for over a year, and there's another to go before they're completed.
So what have we got down here?
So 2 potential bedrooms here. On the first floor we've got the master suite, and then on the second floor we've got 2 further bedroom suites. Yeah.
And these are your in-laws are down there.
All cleaner.
When that's £3,000 a foot, this will certainly be 1,500. You know, so the pound per square foot it wouldn't be worth doing if you were outside the M25. But when you're here, it's very, very advantageous. This land below your house is priceless.
When Alan finishes this, how much do you think he should try and go to market for?
It should be north of 5 million.
In 2008, Alan put something in a basement that is so unique you couldn't make it up.
A lot of wealthy people have very boring lives, and they like things to talk about.
So we thought, well, let's put in a 10.5 metre waterfall.
Oh my God. Has anyone done that? No one's done that in London, did you know?
Not in a private residence, no. No, and especially not in a Muse house. So here behind you, if I...
Where's the water?
When the water's running, we have lights underneath here. Start to get a feeling of the ambiance.
It's very, very large.
People seem to like it. With this project, we won Best Interior Design in the country, Best Development in London. I mean, you're seeing this, James, for the first time, and I think you can agree you didn't expect to see what you saw.
Beg your pardon? Well, you wouldn't want to fall down there.
I would say that a house like this is reassuringly unchild-friendly. You know, it's got lots of sharp edges. It's not great for kids.
Alan sold the Mews house in the depth of the last recession, and its hard edges didn't seem to bother the buyers.
We sold it to a French and Russian couple. They paid about $7.5 million for it.
Kensington Council's new policy may mean that the mega basement gold rush for developers like Alan could be coming to an end. But there's still a few digs that got the go-ahead before the freeze, as one local resident knows only too well.
Oh, look. We appear to have some masonry here.
Jeremy works from home in a basement flat next door to one of the borough's biggest excavations.
Charming. So much for health and safety. Nice builder's cigarette thrown out of the window. OK, we have a nice crack here. You can see through to next door's garden. This wasn't here before. My surveyor's been around to look at it, and his view is that this wall, as a result of the excavations next door, has moved in the direction of the building site. It's a disruption to my own existence. It's a complete lifestyle change where you have no life. This is a very simple transaction next door. They're looking to attract overseas money and make a big return.
The original house above has been hollowed out, and below they're digging a double basement deeper than the depth of an Olympic diving pool. Excavations on this scale can take over 2 years to complete and have earned the nickname icebergs, because there's more house below ground than above.
They're going to be putting in a sauna, jacuzzi, cellar room, all the trappings of the super rich.
Is that what upsets you, or is it...
No, it's the manner in which they conduct their operations. They're entitled to do works on their site, but they have ample room to do those works on their site without pervading into everybody else's lives and controlling everybody else's lives. Originally, when the developers came in, the message was very clear. This is going to be difficult for you. We're here and we're available. Here is my number, here are my details, any time of the day or night. Nothing of the sort. It disappears quicker than you've had hot... well, it just disappears. The whole thing is stacked in the developer's favour. They know the games. They know how to play them.
What's going on, Darren?
I think we have a concrete delivery today. One of a number, I guess.
Modern basements aren't made out of bricks, but reinforced concrete. A dig like the one next to Jeremy will use 2,000 tonnes, which means over 100 separate loads of concrete delivered by specialist tankers. The volume of traffic means that every dig has to have a traffic management plan agreed by the council. And Jeremy is monitoring every transgression.
That is a breach of their traffic plan. They're not supposed to reverse up this road. I've seen it happen 7 times on a single day. This is having impact for residents, businesses, everybody going about their daily existence. You are basically inundating this road and taking it over, and the net result is, contractually, they are in breach. It's that simple. It demands an injunction.
An injunction would stop the building work?
Yes, an injunction would stop the building work until such time as they agreed terms and agreed to respect those terms.
What are you doing?
I'm sending a copy of the video I've just taken to the council enforcement team for action. I need a new phone.
Why?
I've got far too many exhibits on here. I've had to dispense with the normal things that people have on their phones. Emails, music.
You've got, what, lots of pictures of ground lorries and concrete mixers?
I've got approximately 4,000 to 5,000 exhibits.
Wow.
Despite the current freeze, the dig next door to Jeremy is just one of 200 taking place across the borough. And it's a fleet of grab lorries that are daily shipping over 10,000 tonnes of soil from central London. And they like to start early.
I've got all my flashing, my beacons. I think it's quite a mess. Just sit and wait.
Mark's been shifting muck around London for 4 years.
The last time I'd done this job, I was actually on the crane doing the grab, and one of these, there's a lady that lives along here, she pulled up behind me and she said to me, look, you've got to move because I've got all my my shopping that's defrosting. And I said, I'm very sorry, I can't move. She weren't happy at all. All my shopping's defrosting, she said to me. If you got any conscience, you won't matter grab driver. You've got to be as ignorant as big shit you have.
Strict rules prohibit grab lorries starting work before 8 a.m. Break them, and the developer can be fined thousands of pounds.
It's time to wake up, Kensington and Chelsea. It's 8 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock. I'd love to get up at 8 o'clock. I don't even get up 8 o'clock on a Saturday. And it is absolutely chock-a-block, this one. Full to the gunwales. That'll do us.
This sand and rubble will be recycled back into the building industry. And the muck that's left will be used to reshape the fairways of some of the most exclusive golf clubs in the southeast.
Don't stand there. No need to swear. I'm just trying to do my job, sir.
Yeah, you got an argument. He's coming round, he's going to give it to us.
He wants to get his kids to school. Any normal person would just sit and wait, wouldn't they? But not him. The joys of being a grab driver.
And that's what you need, not just the HGV and the licence to drive the crane and that. I think you really should have a black belt in judo or taekwondo or something, so you can look after yourself. Progress, it's called. Pays my bills.
For one long-time Kensington resident, news of the freeze on mega basement builds hasn't come a moment too soon.
This one's been at it for at least 2 years, probably 3.
When you talk about it, sounds like they're involved in some criminal endeavour.
That's what it feels like. In the public suggestion box, I was going to put my little Shakespearean quotation in there, but everybody told me not to.
What were you going to write?
As I told you the other day, down, down, down to hell, and say I sent thee thither.
Annabelle lives here, just off Kensington High Street. Looming at the end of her road is a large mansion block that was due to be revamped with a double basement garage. The council's freeze means that for the moment, at least, it's on hold.
There's lots of plans for Allen House. The car comes in here and goes down and gets trundled along on a kind of, it is exactly like a conveyor belt until it comes back to the lift.
How noisy do you think this is going to be?
Working on a building like this is going to be terrible. It's going to be bang, crash, wallop all day long. We're going to wait and see first whether they get their permission and see how bad it is. But I think we will need a place as a bolt hole just to run to when we can't take it any longer.
Annabelle has reached the end of her tether with basement digs. Her street is one of the most developed in the borough. Half the houses are being done up, most with basements, doubling their value from 5 to 10 million pounds. Annabelle and her husband Stanley have lived here for 23 years and for the past 8 have been hemmed in by building work.
I mean, we've tried so hard to stop all these developments and all to no avail. I mean, the local planning officer gets these letters and they mean absolutely nothing. And they allow this permission for 1 floor, 2 floors below, and we have this nightmare on our hands. You can hear now. This goes on all the time.
All along the row, out of 12 houses, we've got 6 of them at it.
That's a lot of development.
It is. And it's practically every other one, so everyone in the whole terrace has got a naughty neighbour.
It's torture.
Well, the first 15 years that we lived here, we never had any problem from any sort of neighbour. They were all lovely and they were all friends. And now that has all gone.
Is it like being at the dentist?
Is it what?
Like being at the dentist?
It is actually, yes. It is like being at the dentist. Oh, it's awful.
With 2 more of her neighbours waiting to hear if the council will greenlight their basement builds, Annabelle is heading to a local estate agent to hatch an escape plan.
Perhaps we may have to think of getting a place to use as a bolt hole. I'm not interested in anything so-called modern.
Super, understood. And how many bedrooms do you need, Annabelle?
Well, we need 2.
OK.
And, of course, I'm not very happy about the idea of selling it to the enemy.
As you know, within the Royal Borough at the moment, there are so many planning applications which they're currently stalled up at the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea Planning Department and working out whether or not they're going to approve or decline. But I think there are very few streets left in Kensington and Chelsea where you won't have some form of building work going on.
That gives us a huge difficulty of where do we go to?
It's 4 weeks since Kensington Council declared a moratorium on mega basement applications.
BBC London, 94.9 at 7:47. We're now joined by Conservative Councillor Tim Coleridge, Cabinet Member for Planning Policy for Kensington and Chelsea. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
Now, we do have an issue with space in London. What's the problem with building downwards?
It is extremely trying for our residents when street after street sometimes have 2 or 3 basements being dug at the same time.
And that's increased, I think, tenfold in the last 11 years.
It looks as if digging double basements, known as icebergs, may be banned completely if the council can get government approval.
And I suspect that every council in London will be looking to see whether we get this, and they will almost certainly follow suit.
Westminster is a neighbouring borough that's paying close attention, because here in Belgravia, a basement bill went so badly wrong that it's become the stuff of local legend.
The house is what I would describe as the benchmark case for disasters with property development in London. You mentioned Chester Row, and the taxi driver will throw back his head and laugh. And he goes, "Oh, that's that house there with the skip in the road." And then I go, "Yeah, that's us."
Well, this is a Christmas card that we did the first Christmas it happened. The Evening Standard printed it on their Christmas Eve front cover.
So you're sort of famous?
For the wrong reasons.
4 years on, the Hugh Williams still have a £250,000 repair bill, plus their memories of an eventful night with a sunken skip.
Well, it was actually in the morning. It was around about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had been asleep, and I'd been with our housekeeper, Lean, and my family were away at our country house, and she came and woke me up.
God almighty, it looks extraordinary. What had happened to it?
The skip had fallen and sunk into the street.
Oh my God.
The soil had been there for a substantial amount of time, and when it rained it became a lot heavier, and the road where they'd been doing a double basement underneath, they were building a cinema or something, it had fallen in through the road and it had destroyed all the piping, so water was going through their house and into our basement, and destroyed the bottom and all the foundations of our house. And we were just asked to come out, and luckily we didn't have the dogs here, otherwise they probably would have drowned. This is a video of it after the skip had been removed.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, it's a lot of water.
Luca's dad, Michael, called in a structural engineer to look at the damage.
He didn't like coming in this room. I mean, he just basically said, "I don't want to be in this room. until we get some acro props. Once the acro props are in, it's perfectly all right to be in here, although it's obviously unsightly. We realised that the Party Wall Act was completely insufficient, and therefore we would have to try to sue the people next door, just to put our house back in order.
The property was owned by a company in an offshore tax haven. Both it and the basement subcontractor have since closed down.
Then we had absolutely nobody to go against for restitution or rebuilding costs. I mean, forget it. There was just absolutely nobody there.
You do sound angry, I have to say. You do.
Of course, I'm angry underneath it. I think it's disgusting. I don't really want anybody to feel sorry for me, but I do want people to learn from this process and realise that actually when people do this kind of thing, it's completely irresponsible. The law is absolutely insufficient to protect homeowners.
Back in Kensington and Chelsea, the dig, next door to Jeremy, has been going on for 15 months. And the reality of living day to day so close to one of the biggest excavations in the borough is taking its toll.
Stop it! You never stick to your area. You have another frontage the other side, and you have it this side. Okay? So you just stop doing it. If you're reasonable, I'm reasonable. But when you overstep the mark, the answer is not. The work is here, it has to be done. Not at my expense and not at my inconvenience. There's a middle ground. Well, I think it's perfect. I'm perfectly within my rights to say, listen guys, you have your area, it's a double frontage. If you want to use that double frontage, fine. But at the end of the day, you don't come across mine. And if you want to come across mine, then you ask to do so. It's that simple.
Another thorn in Jeremy's side is the army of grab lorries servicing the dig.
We've seen examples where these things have been here for nearly an hour at a time. On average, you know, we've had our road blocked for 3.5 to 4 hours a day. You can see it can't get round. It's totally impractical for this road. It's been passed by the council, it's totally impractical. They won't be able to get through here because there are 2 transits. They're going to back it up. So we'll just start the process we normally start. There is no way they will be able to get through that. I mean, it's almost like going for your driving test and doing a 3-point turn all over again. Well, he's obviously a more skillful driver than I thought.
Does he always manage to get through?
No, it's, I would say it's probably a 50% chance, to be honest.
Though the council are investigating Jeremy's catalogue of complaints, they're just not moving fast enough for him.
I can't believe that the council authorities will not attend to this for the remaining duration of the build. It's not as if it's 3 months, it's over a year. We pay taxes and we pay these council officers' salaries. So why should they not be accountable to us?
I'm worried that you're getting overwrought.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's stressing me out, but the fact is, it's complications you could do without. These things could be sorted out and should be sorted out. I don't understand why they take so much time. I don't understand why they're so problematic. Is there an agenda here?
Away from the bitter battles in central London and pushed along by rising property prices, the basement craze is spreading.
Do I look as if I've got brush my hair?
So how long have you lived here, John?
50 years. Yeah.
And how's the neighbourhood changed?
Gentrified, is that the word?
Yes.
Yeah. People have moved in, judges and doctors and lawyers and all that.
These houses have gone from, within the time that I've lived here, from 30,000 to 1.5 million. I mean, that's kind of a bit freaky. Where East End was always classed as slum area, And now suddenly everybody wants to be in the East End.
What's it like having all these basements dug nearby?
Doesn't really worry us at all. I don't worry about things like that.
But as local basement builder Roger knows only too well, not everyone is eager to jump on the basement bandwagon.
I've observed what's happening up there. There's a couple of basements that have been going on for about a year, I should think.
Well, that's because there's like 5 in a row, so we've gone from one to the next one to the next.
Is that you as well?
Yes.
Oh, bloody hell.
People who are having it done or thinking of having it done are absolutely fine. But the people who've got no intention of having it done are obviously not keen on it in any way, shape or form.
Roger's been in the basement building game for 6 years. The starting price of one of his digs is £160,000.
We started off doing one and then the neighbour saw it and it just kind of snowballed from there.
How long have you been working on this street, Roger?
Been working on this street for well over a year now, and I think it's going to be for a few more years to come as well. Hopefully I'm not becoming a height figure. Trouble is, it is classed as major structural engineering works. You can't make an omelette without smashing a few eggs.
One of his current clients is Jo. For her and her husband, digging a basement is about keeping a home in London for themselves and their 2 children.
We've outgrown the house. Tried buying locally, it's just there. Our offer was not even responded to. So this was our option for staying in London. You know, past 14, I don't think our kids would ever forgive us had we left London. But we've got this next 8 years of kind of kid madness to get through, and it's how we do it without us going mad.
So their solution is to spend £210,000. But Jo won't be adding a wine cellar or a swimming pool, just some vital living space below stairs.
This whole kitchen area will start at this wall and go to the end of the conservatory, and that will be the footprint of the family room downstairs. Ron next door, who is an 87-year-old ex-flamenco dancer, he said he doesn't care. This area, there'll be a bathroom area and a walk-in wardrobe. Our other neighbours on the other side that live in a council property, they're fine about it, they've been really helpful. This footprint will be bedroom, master bedroom. It would be odd for it suddenly to meet resistance, you know, because everyone's sort of, oh yeah, we understand the houses are quite, you know, and everyone's struggling to fit in with kids.
Roger's dug 50 basements this year, and he's on target to triple that next year to 150.
Thank you. Cheers. We just completed a basement for a guy who's a forklift driver and lived in London all his life and scraped the money together, remortgaged his house, and we just completed his basement. In the country, people just wouldn't consider digging a basement down around there. You just put your house on the market and buy a bigger one. It's just the London boom.
Back in Kensington and Chelsea, it's the moment of truth for the council. After 2 months' consideration, the government's planning inspectorate has finally reached its decision.
BBC London 94.9 at 7:47, and Kensington and Chelsea has become the first council in the whole country to restrict basement development.
Messages that the Royal Borough really does mean business now. It is a historic moment, I think.
For the media, who have been reporting on the basement saga, the wait is now over.
It's a huge story for us. I mean, Kensington and Chelsea have been fighting a legal battle with the developers and the construction companies for a couple of years now, and in fact taken them to the planning inspectorate, which ruled in favour of the council.
The decision means that in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, you can only build a single-storey basement.
So today I'm off to see Tim Coleridge, Head of Planning at Kensington and Chelsea Council.
What I really object to is when they build underground rooms. They say they're going to be like children's playrooms, underground sitting room, and then they actually put their staff in there with no daylight.
So I want to talk to him a little bit about their new policy and what it might mean for the borough.
There was an application which was granted some years ago where the owner loved diving off a very high diving board. So he built a swimming pool in Notting Hill Gate, which is high enough to dive off a 20-foot board into his very deep swimming pool.
You might put off billionaires from living here because they might think, right, we'll go to Malibu instead.
They're very welcome to do so.
How are you?
How are you? Very well, again.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you again.
It's not going to stop people applying and building modest one-storey basements, which will have their own difficulties. But they had to make their choice, won't they? Do they want the single-storey basement to be the swimming pool, or do they want the single-storey basement to be the wine cellar? What a terrible
choice.
What a tough choice to make, you know?
So that's the end of the iceberg home as we've known and loved it. What are we going to write about?
What do you have to do now? You have to go and cut that all up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get it down to 3 seconds.
I thought it was very interesting. I still feel, however, that even the single-storey basements are going to carry on in large numbers, so I don't think it's the end of basement hell for central London by any means.
And so the divisive iceberg home has run aground in Kensington. There will be no more double or triple basements built here. But for basement digs already on the go, and for developers, builders and neighbours caught up in them, the journey is far from over.
The Royal Borough of Kensington magazine, I saved it for you. The end of iceberg homes. But they're still allowing 1 floor down.
Isn't that a good thing?
Well, it's a good thing that it's not 3 floors, but 1 floor's bad enough.
The answer is not, in my view, one where one should just walk away from it and allow developers who are making massive profit margins at the expense of the common man to just get away with this without any accountability whatsoever.
Tonight's film coming up next, Dustin Hoffman, Susan Sarandon and Jake Gyllenhaal and the thought-provoking family drama Moonlight Mile.